Hey everyone, welcome to Lake Como and welcome to Villa Erba. We're here with the world exclusive, and that's the new BMW Concept Skytop. It's a day before the unveil of the car, and we're here to take a close look as an exclusive look at this car. So with that being said, I'm gonna dive right in and I'm gonna tell you everything that I just learned about this car. So let's take a look at the front end for a second. You might recognize in there, of course, a lot of the Z8 design. And that starts with this shark nose. This is probably the most aggressive shark nose I've seen on a BMW design in recent memory. And when we'll take a look from the side, you will see that shark nose even more. But let's talk about the design, because of course it is completely different and it is beautiful, honestly, because we've seen all these different kidney grills lately. We've seen large, we've seen small, but now we see kind of like a typical BMW kidney grill. Of course, it's got a little bit of a different flair and a little bit of a different design. So as you can see, it's quite angled. It forms a V shape right there. It's got this nice separation in between them, and of course a lot of interesting parts right here. So you have this matte chrome right there, but then of course with these shiny stripes that just gives a nice reflection between the flat and the shinier piece. This part, it's also illuminated. You can't really see it right now because it's light out here. And then of course you have also the slimmest headlights that we've seen on a BMW. So BMW is extremely proud of this because they managed to achieve this in a near production looking car. So you can see very, very unique light design. Of course, two separate headlamps kind of in their LED stripes, which plays on this idea that BMW pays homage to the double headlamp. Of course, even the logo on this section reminds you of the BMW Z8. And then you have this absolutely beautiful hood design. So there is an interesting story behind this, because this particular shape right here, it kind of extends inside the car and then it goes all the way to the back, and we're gonna take a look at that as we move around the car. Of course, it's an extremely bold design, and you see it on the bottom as well. Similar V-shaped design to mimic the kidney grill as well. And then of course, more kind of like matte chrome in there, which just gives the car not only a sporty look, but also a very luxurious look. Speaking of luxurious, it's kind of like a champagne type of color, but there is an interesting story there when we go in the back, because we're going to show you how this color actually fades in from the trunk all the way to the back. Let's move to the side and take a look once again at the shape of the car. It is based on a BMW 8 Series platform, so this is why the proportions and the size are quite similar. There is nothing that you see today in the BMW lineup that looks like this car. It still plays on the monolithic kind of type of design that we've seen recently. Very few creases. You have this very bold crease at the front, but we're used to seeing it kind of going all the way to the back in a more aggressive way, but it's a lot more fluid, and it kind of breaks over here nicely before it goes into the shoulder to emphasize the width of the car and all of that. We have an additional line right there. That's a nice trick that BMW uses visually to kind of break down the height of the car. You want the car to look quite low to the ground, because if it has big wheels, then you will absolutely stand out. Speaking of the wheels, amazing design. It's got this combination of a retro and sportiness and of course luxury. And I just learned today, it's got this double layer in there. So you have these slats, once again, kind of like a matte, grayish chrome in there. Then you have this shiny chrome on top. So it forms this really nice dual layer design. Absolutely stunning. If they don't build this car, they should absolutely build these wheels. Absolutely beautiful. Once again, you can see it's a open top design. I wouldn't call it a roadster. It reminds me more of a Targa type of car. It's a two-seater, and that always plays nicely here on the Lake Como shores, because it's all about Italian flair and luxury and all of that. We're gonna look inside in a second as well. Now let's move to the back, and this is probably where you see this kind of boat type of design, a little bit inspired maybe from Rolls-Royce. We've seen the boat tail here also last year and the year before, and this is kind of the idea here as well. I'm assuming if we see the car from the top, and we have some shots to show you that, then you can actually see this kind of cocoonish feel. It comes into the back, tapers nicely here. Absolutely reminds me of a Rolls-Royce. Of course, it's a BMW, and you can see it from right here. So you have this kind of boat look, and then it kind of tapers, and then of course you have this really, I mean, look at these fenders, massive, absolutely beautiful. It's a manual hardtop, so we're gonna take a look at that as well. It's stored in there. We're gonna open it up, install it, and take it down again so you can see the whole process. Right here, of course, in case you roll over and crash, These things pop out for safety reasons, so it's a functional piece. So that kind of gives you an idea that BMW is thinking about this car, that maybe it's near production ready, but we'll talk about that in a second. You can also see this very interesting design right here. It's in all leather material. And of course, you got that window right there. And the additional piece that I mentioned from the front, it kind of continues all the way in the back. Of course, it's got this chrome to emphasize the luxury once again on this car. Now let's talk about paint, right? So you can see the red leather right here, of course, inside as well. But then when you look at the trunk, it just fades nicely all the way to the back until it becomes once again a champagne look. So once again, just take a look at this. Fades nicely, you can see from red, fades in, and then it goes to this champagne color. So absolutely stunning work. You can also see the shot line being very, very small on the car, very precise lines, absolutely beautiful. And then once again, you have this negative shape in the back, contrary to the one that you see on the front, the positive one. And that's a nice combination because you have this angled shark nose, but then you have the rear end a little bit more on the negative side of the angle. So it looks very cool, very luxurious. No badges on the car, so that's cool. A simple BMW logo right there, and that's it. And of course, the Concept Skytop in the license plate holder. Let's talk about the taillights. Another very interesting project here at BMW, because I was told in order to achieve this very long and of course wrapping around the car LED line, they had to use a silicone to put the LEDs inside in order to be able to mold this particular shape. As you can see, they're extremely thin and just simply beautiful. It's simple design. Sometimes you don't need more than this, and if it's achievable from a technical perspective, even better. It's not supposed to be an aggressive looking car like an M car, and this is why they probably use this oval shape pipes. You can see they're quite large in size. I'm assuming they're functional. And of course you have that shiny chrome in there as well, and more lamels in this matte chrome as well. All right, so let me show you the trunk right now and see what we have in there. Just open it up. So this is how you store the roof in this car. You can see there are two pieces. Towards the end of this video, we're gonna mount the roof so you can see, but essentially you store them in there nicely. Of course, they're made of leather and it feels fantastic. By the way, this leather comes from the saddlery in Dingolfing, and this car was partly built in Dingolfing, but also by another coach builder, which you're gonna find a little bit later who it was. So let me close this up. Then you take a look at this. Of course, you got some storage space on the side. It's an open top. If you go for road trips, you gotta have space. Preferably, if you keep this up, then you have a lot more space to store some bags in there. And speaking of storage, we'll look inside as well. So let me close it up. I'm gonna close the trunk. Let's do that sound. So nice. Love it. All right, so let's take a look inside. But before we do that, let me show how you open the doors. You might notice these new door handles. So very clean shapes. There are no door handles on the side. All you have to do is this. And once you apply some force, then the door just opens. Let's try again. So basically, put your hand there, apply some force, and it just opens. Very, very cool. Now, of course, when you look inside, you can see that got a little bit of an 8 Series in there. Naturally, like I said, it's based on that, and there's some pieces coming from that. You can see the glass package. Of course, it's not the same. It's got this rainbow effect. Once again, it plays nicely with the red interior. You can see the reflections of that, and it just looks extremely luxurious. I also learned that BMW wanted to use leather as much as possible inside, and of course they've done this on the floor mats, as you can see, center console, center dash, even the cover right there. Then of course in the back as well, even the straps here where you can store some bags behind your seat, they're made out of leather too. Basically, it's all wrapped up in leather. Other than the functional pieces and the door chrome pieces, it's all really leather. Very, very cool. My favorite part, it retains the very small screen, because I'm always complaining about large screens in BMW. So they did the right thing with this one. You got all these physical buttons. So there is no reason for you to complain about this anymore. We have physical buttons. Thank you, BMW. Speaking of the seats and this leather, you can see it's got a completely different geometry, very different than what you see in the A Series. Not only from the shape, but also because of these additional pieces. They're kind of stitched on top of the actual little seat. Looks really, really nice. And honestly, having that rainbow right there, it makes you look really luxurious. As I said, goes really well with the entire design of the car. Of course, you got this perforated leather in certain places, like right there. You have it in the middle of the seats too. going up there as well. Just beautiful, beautiful. Another cool thing in the car is the integration of the speakers into the door panel, but they're hidden behind this leather, so it's a very clean, very luxurious design as well. I was talking about those perforations. You also have them inside the door as well, and even the plastic pieces, they're all painted in the same color as the leather. Of course, you got your typical chrome door handles and all these buttons right there. The integration with the small screen just fits the car perfectly. It's not overwhelming the interior, it's not too digital. Steering wheel, it's not as beefy as on some of the newer BMWs. It's got the typical shape, and then of course you have these rainbow crystals in there as well. And then of course you have the minus and plus shifters too, and this nice chrome as well. There's an additional button right there. I'm assuming you can store some settings in there as well, just like in M cars. Really nice black matte as well. Of course, instrument panel right behind the steering wheel, the typical one that you know, with the head-up display and everything else. Let me show you the seating position. As you can see, you sit quite low, as you'd expect to sit in an open top. Beautiful driving position right here. Of course, the seats feel great. Nice side bolster support. Exactly what you expect to see in a car like this. Of course, more painted trim in here too, because you don't want to see that black contrasting too much with this beautiful leather, which once again is coming from Dingolfing. And overall, it's just a nice cocoonish type of feeling that you're getting from this car. Something that once again you expect from BMWs with this driver orientation towards you. Very, very cool. Of course, you got plenty of storage space. Even this particular area, it's all painted in the same color as the leather. And of course, that's leather as well. Let's open this up too. You can see typical storage space, but there are a few cool things in there. So let me show you one of them. The window in the back, it's actually functional. So if I press this button, it will lower it. And of course, you can put this up. Very, very cool. Let me show you one more time. Once again, it's a functional piece. Of course, if you want more air coming in, why not? Put it down. If that annoys you, you can put it back up. So really, really nicely done, BMW. We've been thinking about all these functional pieces in a car. This was the interior design. Now let's hop outside and see how we can install the roof on this car, and then we'll talk about maybe some of the specs that I've heard about and some other ideas around this car and what's going to happen in the future. I'm going to hop outside. Let's see how we can install the rooftop on this car. So let me open the trunk, push it up. As I said earlier, it's stored in there. There are two pieces, so I'm going to take the first piece out very, very carefully. So let me grab it nicely, both sides. Okay, perfect. As you can see, I'm shaking a little bit because I don't want to drop this or be that guy. All right, so let's see now. It's supposed to go into the front first, right? Okay.
A bit forward.
Way forward. Okay.
Yeah.
Like this. Now it's lined up.
And just
Okay.
and push it down with a bit of power.
So now he has to line up there.
Good.
That's it? Just push it down?
Yeah. just
All
push it
right.
down.
You trust me?
Yeah.
Yeah? Are you sure?
Yes. Let's do it. More power.
More power. Oh, cool. All right. Locked in. Awesome. All right. So this piece separates the two roofs basically, so you're not scratching the leather, I guess. I'll give you that to you. Pull this out again. Slowly. Grab it. I want to help me just one more time. Hold it for me so I can grab it properly. Perfect. All right. Let's do this again. Let's see. Okay, so let's see. I can do it by myself. Let me know if it's lined up. I think it is. Looks good. Think it looks good?
Yes.
Yeah? And I'm getting good at this. I should get a job, doing this all day long. All right, push, ready? Are you sure? 1, 2, 3. Wow, look at this. Hired. So now you can see the car with the roof on, and honestly, we can close this up so we can see the whole thing maybe. And of course, now the shape, it's even more reminding me of a little bit of a boat because you have this Sloping roofline, you can see it kind of fades into the back here very nicely, very, very smooth. I've talked about the paint and everything else, but honestly, the shape is absolutely beautiful. I mean, if you move back a little bit and take a look at this, it is a stunning, stunning car. All right, so this was a little bit of the design review of the car. We'll have a lot more tomorrow when BMW officially unveils the car at the Concorso d'Eleganza. But let's talk a little bit about the future of this car and what I know so far. So there are no production plans yet. That doesn't mean that BMW is not thinking about making this car, because they are. They always do, really. But they're waiting to see what's the feedback from people. Let's talk about specs a little bit. What do you think it's hiding underneath this bonnet, which, by the way, I cannot open, but you will see the car in motion. It's a V8 engine. My suspicion points to the S63 probably, because that's what they use in a BMW M8. So I think that's what we have right there. They're not talking about horsepower, but we know that that particular engine makes over 600 horsepower. So I think that's what we have under the hood. If they make this car, of course, it will be quite pricey. It will be quite limited, just like the 3.0 CSL. That's just like the now canceled Touring Coupe concept. And I think price-wise, it will be somewhere in between the rumored $250,000 for the coupe and the $750,000 for the 3.0 CSL. My guess is somewhere on the $500,000 range, but nothing official yet. As soon as I learn more, I will let you know. So once again, this is the beautiful BMW Concept Skytop right here at Villa Erba. Thanks for watching these exclusive videos. I hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you in the next one.
Sounds good.